We're live.
Hi guys, welcome back to our live stream. We're super excited to be back with you. We missed you last week. We survived Irma.
Alive.
We did. We were very lucky.
This is really
Very,
a
very
live
lucky.
stream because we're alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thankfully, we're here today to hang out with you guys for a little bit. We want to go over some footage that Adam actually, he has his own story to tell, but
Yes.
Izzy and I were able to take a few shots during Irma, just to tell you a little bit
Did
about
a lot of shots.
our experience, and we also want to go over best practices for rain and fog photography. But before we get started, we want to make sure to tell you, please help make a difference by donating down below. The link to the Red Cross is below. You can donate to help those who were affected by Hurricane Irma. And I'm sure
And
there
Harvey,
are
too.
other, and Harvey,
And
yes,
still,
and
yeah.
everything else that's been happening and whatever may still come, which hopefully nothing else will come, at least not for the rest of this year,
Yeah, and if
as far as hurricanes go.
and there will probably be a lot of organizations on the ground that are helping with cleanup. You know, even if your next door neighbor or anybody you know has been affected, and a lot of people have been affected. You know, if you don't have money to donate, what you could do, if you could donate just some of your time, just help clean up. Florida has a lot of elderly people that might not be able to help clean up. Some people might not have
Power yet,
power,
even.
family, friends.
Yeah.
So anything you can do, food,
yeah.
water.
It's been crazy.
Even like open up your space to people that you know might need just shelter for a little bit. But cleanup's going to take a long time, so anything you can do would be very helpful. You know, just show some support.
It was very scary. It was scary to first, you know, it was changing so fast as all hurricanes do. People were making decisions early on. A lot of people were evacuated. Some didn't evacuate and
Right.
stayed home, and everyone was trying to make decisions under pressure. And I think, at least for me, I mean, I don't think I slept for like all 4 nights before, during, and after. I kept having nightmares that something really bad was going to happen. I stayed here, Izzy stayed here, and Adam had the chance to. He made that decision and left.
Well, I didn't make that decision.
Well.
I was told to leave. So my partner, she told me she was traveling for work, and then she was looking, I think on the Wednesday, and she had spent hours online looking for a ticket. Everything was being purchased. Airlines were actually raising, like the prices were going
crazy.
But she had found me a ticket, you know, a really good price, and you know, she bought it without asking me, and you know, so I took that opportunity to head out. Luckily, you know, the area that I live was affected, but my apartment was spared. I had lost power for a little bit.
I think
Someone's saying they're still out of power, which, by the way, let's say hi to everyone who's watching. We have 16 people with us now.
Hello.
Yeah, I hope everybody is safe.
Yes,
and
yes.
you know, again, has, you know, the ability to have shelter, clean water, food, and stuff like that. So, you know, and we're lucky here in Digital Goja that we were able to come in and,
yes.
you know, and we're able to do this live show. So it's,
Yes.
you know.
So make sure, I see someone already asking a question. Make sure to ask your questions. I'm in the middle today, but I'll still be looking at your questions with this laptop here. I'll make sure to hand them over to Izzy or Adam. We're gonna be going over rain photography, best practices for that. But first we wanna show you just a few pictures of what Irma looked like for us. And we also have a video a little bit towards the middle of the live stream that Izzy took from where he was staying at the moment. So Adam is going to let us know when we can share that.
So the first are going to be images
that I took.
Right. So if you can see these are what, screenshots? So you
Yeah,
can see
these
the
are
area.
screenshots actually what was happening at the moment, which was 1:22 p.m. on Sunday, which is the day that we got hit. Thankfully not direct hit, but we were still, as you can see in that picture, pretty close. Where you see the pins, that's the blue one, that's where I was located. I was sending my mom these pictures because where she was out of power, no Wi-Fi, barely getting any text messages, so she couldn't watch the news, track the hurricane. So I was trying to tell her, you know, we have like 6 more hours of the winds, how you're feeling them now. And then I sent her 2 screenshots, one which will come right after this one. I was actually using a website called, this is the WeatherBug app, but the other shot is from a website called Tropical Tidbits. It was really nice to be able to see the track current, and also 6 hours from that point, and 12 hours, and on and on. So you can see it actually moved a lot more to the west coast of Florida. Yep. And we at Digital Goja, and where I was staying, and all of us, we are on the east coast. So thankfully we didn't get as hit as bad as we thought we would, but we still got very close to the eye.
Areas like the financial district, which is Brickell, got hit, and there are a lot of videos that show like flooding. Coconut Grove got hit pretty hard, and you saw a lot of flooding.
And of course the Keys, they got the direct.
Key West
that was
got a direct hit.
I don't think you see them on the map there, but
you don't see the Keys.
That was right after it had gone over the Keys.
Yeah, this is just over. So, but you see how large the storm is,
huge.
Which
it was a massive storm.
Yeah. And one thing I understood from tracking Irma, which every year I think you learn something new, right? From tracking hurricanes. But you get, you know, bands of wind. So sometimes, you know, green would be lighter and yellow but stronger, and then orange and red, of course, were like super strong. So you could see as you tracked the hurricane and then look out the window or wherever you were staying and see. And we'll show you a video that Izzy took of how strong the winds were. I think it was 100 and...
I think that was about 110 mile an hour wind.
Yeah, it was a category, I would say it was a category 3, what we got.
By the time we experienced, because we were getting what they call the dirty side. So we were getting all those bands that were going on the east side, and it was just bringing in a lot of rain.
Yeah, I mean, it also, Irma passed through all the Caribbean. Yeah. Which was hit a lot.
Some of those islands were really hit head on because it was a category 5 when they
Barbuda, St. Martin, both the Dutch side and the French side. Cuba got hit, and then it passed
Dominican Republic, Haiti.
And you can donate. All your donations go. Red Cross is international. So make sure to, even if you don't use that link, just like Adam was saying, make sure that if you can help out your neighbors. One thing that I think was very heartwarming for me is that we were prepping for this hurricane for about 3 days before. Yep. I made a line of 8 hours to buy plywood because my house didn't have shutters, and my boyfriend and I had to put up the plywood, and all of our neighbors were doing the same thing. My neighbor is this really nice old lady that lives with her 2 older sisters, and they're about 92. And their entire family came to stay with them, and they stay there for the hurricane, and everyone was just looking out for each other. And even after, of course the aftermath is always hard too, because there's no power, no food, and no gas.
Now comes the hard part, all the cleanup. We really have to work together to do this.
So I don't know, I think we have a few more.
We have a few photos that we can show. So let's switch over to the photos. And so
that belongs to me. That's actually one of my family members' house. The area that she lives in is normally there are a lot of trees. It's known for its beautiful trees, but this is obviously after Irma. All those beautiful trees just came down. You can't even clearly see the entire house. It was scary to get there the day after and just to make sure that the house was still standing. Thankfully, it was. There's still no power at this house currently, but this is one of the photos that I was able to take after. Of course, you're not taking pictures. You're just trying to process how everything looks when the sun finally comes out, which I think.
And the one thing, not only trees but power lines fell. So.
Yes.
Walking, it's a bit safer now because there's, the crews are out, moving, down power lines. But that's the one thing, after the hurricane, a lot of accidents could occur because, people aren't looking, at the, down live power lines or areas like, if it's wet, or there's still flooding, there's stuff in the water.
There's even underground power lines. From some of the forecasters say that once you have that area flooded, that area becomes live. So all of a sudden, if you're walking through a deep motor or any kind of
this is
puddle.
an interesting photo. What do you want to talk about?
So this is the morning after. So this is probably 7 a.m. Every day I would wake up, and I think everyone would too. Just wake up early because you're not on vacation. You're just trying to either get some sleep or understand where the hurricane's moving next and if it's affecting you badly or not. This is from where I was staying. I went to a building where I felt like I was going to be safer than my house because my house also has a lot of trees. You can see some flooding on the bottom left. That's actually, this is in Doral. And you can see the sun came out. And it was kind of beautiful to see the sun was out, but you see all this humidity and it stayed like this for about 3 days. Even now, you go out and you see that it's not clear. It's still humid, and of course you have all this water trying to evaporate at the same time. Thankfully, here in Florida, we kind of dealt with flooding better than in Houston. Like the ground absorbs water faster, so that's what we're dealing with now. But this is a kind of a symbolic picture for me because I took that just because I was like, okay, I wanted to show my family and friends on social media that we were okay and that we had.
Somebody's asking, wants to know, how you took or did you use, what kind of camera?
I was using my iPhone for all these cameras. For the one photo you saw before of all the trees and this one, I used my iPhone 5S. It's not even the 7 Plus, which has a really, really nice camera, but this is my iPhone. And this is Izzy's artwork.
Yeah.
No, that just caught me by surprise because some of these trees are lining these streets for decades, and all of a sudden there it is. It's gone. I mean, you can see that it's actually lifting up part of the sidewalk too, and that sign is very askew. So it's kind of scary. It was very, very scary, very surrealistic as I'm walking around.
Let's see what else. Oh, that's...
And again, something that, I've walked by this tree many, many times, and I was just not expecting it to do that. And thankfully, nobody was hurt in this situation. But again, you see that there's power lines very nearby, and it actually looks like if it might have caught one. And that's where you have to be careful, because if you're out and about, wow, that's where, you can have a situation where if you're not prepared and you're not paying attention,
and the window, it looks like it went inside the house somehow. If there were no shutters or anything, that was a big
It's like
worry.
there are metal bars on this one, but who knows what.
Someone from Westchester, all okay. We lost just a papaya tree and palmetto tree. Okay. That sounds, so many people.
A friend of mine had a mango tree fall in their yard. Unfortunately, no mangoes.
Oh no!
No, I had a bunch of avocados on the ground. So
guacamole time.
A lot of people were giving them out for free.
Yeah.
Just because it was hard to find food after. It was scary to see how hungry we were all. We all were after the hurricane had passed and nothing was open. So it was hard to find good warm food.
Take a look at the video.
Yes.
So this is just like some sample footage of, so you get an idea. I don't think there's going to be audio, but
the wind will be.
But you can see, you can get an idea just by looking at, like the palm trees and everything like that. So you might hear the audio from our mics, so maybe that helps.
You can hear the wind, yeah.
Yeah, this is about...
Those poor palm trees were trying to...
This was like Sunday around 2 p.m.
Play it again just so you get an idea.
So this was Izzy recording.
This is on Sunday?
Yep, Sunday.
Sunday at 2 p.m.?
Around 2 p.m.
So that's around the time I took the screenshots of the tracking, and we were probably going through one of those yellow, orangey...
Yeah, those bands were huge.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I think every 5 minutes I was checking my phone for updates from friends, and
on your house,
I
I'm
was
sure.
like, I had to keep constantly charging my phone.
Oh my God,
like,
I had
trying to make
power
sure
banks all over.
everybody was all right.
I had power banks everywhere because as soon as this started getting ugly like this, the power went out. And I had no idea when it was going to come back. It took like about 3 to 4 days for it to come back.
Wow. So that's our footage from Irma. Now we want to jump into something a little bit, lighter. Still related. I know we have a couple questions that I'll make sure to answer before the end, but we borrowed some pictures from pexels.com, which we'll put the link below. It's pictures that you can use for commercial or personal use, and they're amazing quality. And Adam and Izzy selected these 5 photos to go over what best tips and practices you can use when taking photos under rain or fog. So if you find yourself in a situation where you want to document what's going on, or you just like the rain, these will be great tips. So, and these are beautiful photos. I don't know in what order specifically you guys want to go over them, but in the meantime, I'm gonna see if we have any questions as Adam pulls those up. Someone was asking, again, what camera we used to take those pictures. We both used iPhones, if I'm not.
Yeah. I go to pick up my camera and I'm like, well, let me try. And all of a sudden the battery is dead. And I'm like, how am I going to charge this?
Easiest camera to have with you.
Yeah.
Fits in your pocket.
Yep, the one that's always with you.
But yeah, during a storm, it's, unless you have it prepared beforehand, like me, I took all my cameras, all my audio gear.
Oh yeah, you got
all my.
You have to protect everything.
Most of my electronics. I took a little bit of clothes, but I took all the stuff I can that would be difficult for me to replace. I mean, photos and stuff like that I had secured in watertight cases and stuff like that. And I had a feeling I have pretty secure. I have hurricane windows and up to like category 140 mile an hour winds or whatever. So, and I'm upper, so I wasn't worried about flooding, but in my apartment. But I just grabbed all the gear I can take and went on the plane with me.
I want to make sure we have someone, Kevin Clements, or I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. He's asking people or just trying to raise awareness in the Keys and West Coast. He says his church, St. Peter's and Paul Orthodox in Miami, are collecting donations for those who were affected by Irma. So if you have any information of places that people can go to help out, please comment below or just ask questions if you need to know where, and we'll make sure to go over that before the end of the live stream. So I guess we can get started on taking a look at those pictures that you guys selected from Pexels.
Sure.
And if you have any questions on rain and fog photography, also make sure to ask, because I know Izzy and Adam are just going to go over what they think you should know, but just in case.
Okay, so the first image that we have is going to be right over here, and as you see, this photo is I think is really interesting. They used it's very dramatic. You can see lots of clouds. It's dark. You can still see that it's raining. They have a nice silhouette. The person is lit. Really, you see the defined line. I really like it. It's really
it's very artistic. They're showing an incredible mood, and they did the exposure correctly. As you can see, they did some really fine tuning when it came to the exposure. They wanted to make sure that you saw the silhouette and some slight detail on the person, but you're also seeing the incredible cloud formation and the rain. So,
and you can see that I guess the moon was pretty bright that night, because you can see the sky. It's not dark, it's obviously it's raining, it's probably lightning and thunder, but I like how they did that. And obviously we're not entirely sure. I'm sure these pictures have gone through some post work, but
yeah, I mean, you're not really told whether or not there was Photoshop, but stuff like this is again, you're shooting digital, you can always take several different exposures to try to get attain the closest to the image that you want, and then in Photoshop you can adjust your highlights, your shadows, your midtones in there. But yeah, even the color, it has, at least on my monitor, it has, the lighting, it has that
very surrealistic.
So, just as, for the limit of time that we have, let's go on to the next
We have
photo.
5 total photos that we like to show you. And again, no questions being asked, just people keep suggesting places to animal shelters too. Yes,
absolutely.
Dogs and cats that were left behind because their families couldn't take them in, or with them where they were going.
Some of the shelters were so packed that they couldn't take anybody in, and some of them were like, look, we just can't accept your pets. So there were very limited situations.
So the next photo is kind of on a different end. This one we're going to look at is, shot through, it looks like either a car window. And this is a really cool effect. And has a kind of paint, a kind of
pastel look.
Yeah, it kind of reflects like what a painting, kind of like what a painting would look like. I've done photographs like this. My girlfriend and I drove up to, I think, the Dali Museum, and it was raining, and she was standing outside, and I did a portrait of her, through the window, and you can see the beads of rain on the glass. But it's really nice with the street lights and the cars and everything. It's a really nice image to use all the graphical elements in the scene.
So this is a great example for like not worrying too much about it looking sharp and you being able to see what's behind it, but appreciating that
colors,
abstract.
all those colors coming together. They did a really good job with the.
What lens would you say that they're using? Do you have to get super close to the window, put the camera right next to it, or how would you take this if you were the one behind this in this car, or
I'm now wondering if it's through a window or in a photo, but I think it looks like through the window. But if you're doing it through a window, obviously if you're in a car, you're kind of limited on the space that you have. So if you have a full frame, you can you'd have to maybe see if if you're in the driver's seat or if you're in the passenger seat, you'd have to find a way to maybe pull back a little bit
safely.
So I'd say
hopefully not driving, pulled over. But
yeah, either like a 35 millimeter lens on the camera.
Yeah, that looks like a mid-wide angle.
And if you focus on the window, and you're depending on the aperture you're using, stuff in the background is going to be blurred out. So that way you'd be able to achieve kind of a similar effect. And then also the way the water is on it, it's going to make the objects.
It's going to give you that distortion.
Yeah.
Okay, great. What else do you have? And I still don't see many questions. Still people just no, just people commenting on pictures. Kevin he said, I just used my vlogging camera to take some pics during the storm. He used the Canon G7X Mark II, which
that's a great camera.
He said is a great camera.
Very popular camera.
What makes a camera great if you're looking to take photos during a storm? Like what lens?
You have it with you, number one. You have to be prepared and you have to have it with you. And number two, you want to make sure that you have some kind of a wider perspective. So that way, if you have something like if you're trying to take pictures of trees or give you that kind of effect where you want to get an expanse, you want to have a wider perspective. And something like the G7X Mark II has a vast lens perspective. So that's actually, I think it's like a 15 or 20x zoom. So that's really good to be able to do something like that. It gives you the capability of cropping the scene without having to change lenses or anything. You have it on one small portable package. And again, the best camera is the one that's with you, so you have to be prepared and convenience. Now this looks
that's
like
a beautiful picture.
Yeah, that almost looks wow.
That's probably, where do you think that, Alaska? No.
I'm not sure. I would.
But that's definitely
venture,
rain,
guess,
humidity, and fog all in one.
Yeah, and I just I really like. Yeah, and wow.
Through the seagull there in the corner.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that.
But yeah, as you see, like, you know, water on the wood, I like the, you know, the effect that it gives with like the reflection of the person. You know, I just, you know, I like the, you know, the framing is done really well. It's a very effective image.
How would you, how do you adjust your, which we went over this in our last live stream, is ISO, aperture, and shutter speed to take a picture in this, under these conditions, you know, like what would you do if it was you?
One with, as far as the ISO, my way of looking at it is I would use the lowest ISO I can possibly get away with, because that's going to provide you with the best image quality. But in certain situations where you're trying to stop action, you might be limited. You might have to use a higher shutter speed because, of course, when it's very cloudy out, you know, and you don't have a lens that open, you know, you want to get a greater depth of field. So you want to, you know, and you're going to be using an aperture of like f8.
Yeah, because you definitely have
f11 or something like that. You know, in cases like that where if you choose an ISO of 200 and your aperture of f11, let's say, and your shutter speed is like 30th of a second, let's just say, for instance, that's the exposure for the scene. One, you know, stuff like the bird might not be, you know, you might get introduced motion blur because you can't hold the camera steady enough. So then you're going to want to change your shutter speed to a faster shutter speed to compensate it. But if you change your aperture, you now change your depth of field. So then what you'd have to do is raise the ISO to compensate for.
And especially in the overcast situation like this, you could go ahead and push your ISO a little bit higher so that you can achieve that. Because as you can see, the photographer wanted everything to be in focus, from the foreground where you see detail in the boards all the way to that vast mountainscape in the background. So.
And what helps out also with that is wide angle lenses. You know, shooting with a wider angle lens, it will give the appearance that, you know, you have more depth of field. So let's go on to the next image, and we have some macro photography with, you know, just after it rained or.
Wow.
It's just wet.
Yep.
But
and most likely with a, hey, why not a 500 millimeter? That way you can use a huge telephoto from a distance and be able to.
I can't tell if that's a drop or the eye. Is that like, it might, it might be water magnifying the eye, or, wow, that's interesting.
But the color combination there is spectacular. But notice that your depth of field is absolutely limited here, because you're dealing with the magnification aspect and you're dealing with the reflection from the water.
But yeah, patience is the key
95% of photography.
Macro photography, especially with stuff like this. And patience and know-how, because it does, you know, you need to kind of, you know, you gotta be able to anticipate, you gotta, you know like what these insects or anything, you know, anything that's close up that moves very fast. You got to be able to capture it at the right moment, especially with such shallow depth of field. Focus is very difficult.
Yep.
Awesome. So we do have one question.
Cool.
What's the best landscape photography lens with the cheapest price? So best value, so you don't have to break the bank. Landscape photography.
If you're doing a crop sensor, very popular lens, for example, that we've had great results with here, is the Canon 10-18 IS STM lens. That's a really good lens. We've had the capability of working, again, in your crop sensor camera, like your Rebel series or your 7D Mark IIs, you're getting an ultra wide without that excessive distortion. Plus you have the image stabilization and you have the stepping motor for video. So it does a really good job. And again, it's way under $300, so it doesn't break the bank.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to add? We hope you enjoyed this live stream. We are going to wrap it up now. It's been a long week, but we're super happy to be back with you guys. Oh, you have one more photo?
Yeah, we had.
Sorry, I actually.
No, that's all right.
Ooh, there's people still coming back into town, as you can hear the planes. But this photo is so nice. Like, I love whoever had the idea of taking that. Like, the fact that they could get that perfect shadow on the ground, and it looks like it looks the water. I mean, it looks like glass, you know.
Yeah, and especially in like in black and white and color. You know, anytime, you know, just after it rains, it's just a really nice time to photograph.
And that shows you that framing is vital. Look at how the photographer wants to portray that, and they're working with the reflection, not much of the actual subject matter.
Yeah. That was the last photo. So
pretty awesome.
Beautiful. So we hope you enjoyed both our footage from Irma. We just want to make sure that we raise awareness so anyone that can
Time
helps.
for us to come together and help each other in our neighborhoods and reach out to other parts of the country, because this affected a lot of different states.
Yeah, and you know what's been going on before Irma, Harvey. I know a lot of people, just make sure your friends, families, neighbors, and just even people that you don't know, that if they need any help, that we want to make sure to just push you guys to do that, because here at Digital Goja we try to do that for ourselves too, and I'm super happy that we're all back and that we're able to do this today with you guys. And
thank you for joining us, and again, stay safe, and hopefully all of you will be able to join us next week. There's a lot of us that might have still don't have, there's a lot of people don't have power, maybe they don't even have internet access, so
yes, we know that.
I think the latest is at least in South Florida, it should be, power should be on to a majority
Sunday.
of the
this Sunday
location on Sunday. Yeah.
And also thank you for all FPL plus all the other states that have come together to help us, because I know that they are the true heroes after something like this happens that's out of our control.
Responders. Absolutely.
First responders, firefighters, FPL, everyone that's restoring our life back to normal. We know that they work nonstop. I got power back in my house at 2 a.m. So it made me think, you know, like people are out there working at all hours just to help us feel normal again. So
thank you for helping us come together again.
Yes. We'll see you guys next time.
Catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Happy shooting.